wave of political defections that are still shaping the conversation around the 2027 elections. Joining us now is Dr. Aliyu Audu. He is the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Public Communications. A pleasure to see you once again. Thank you so much for joining us on the program.
Thank you for having me. Public affairs.
Public affairs?
Yeah.
Okay, right. Okay, let's get your initial thoughts on this conversation around what these defections represent for not just the APC or the PDP or any other political party, but for Nigeria's democratic growth and development.
Maturity, political maturity. You know, we're getting to a stage where we don't have parties that are seen as regional parties, or they are seen as being present in one particular region, and sentimentally so. You know, we've got into a place where we've seen, you know, politicians making decisions, you know, on where they see the overall leader of the country heading to. They are convinced of the journey, you know, ahead, and they know it's not going to be easy, but they know we're in the right direction. We're on track, and you know, they really don't want to be. I don't think they are joining to support the president. I think they are joining because they don't want to be in the way of progress.
How does being in the opposition party stand in the way of progress?
Good. We have a country that we all, irrespective of where we've been, have said have not been managed properly, maybe for decades. You know, even before the Fourth Republic that we embraced in 1999, and I mean, we have seen a substantial number of these people who are making noise and, you know, coming together today. We have seen them jump across political platforms. And these political platforms have not been in line with a particular ideology. So they are not doing it because they believe in one way of doing things. They are doing it because they just want to win.
How do you mean? I suppose you're talking about the current coalition talks, right?
Yeah.
Atiku Abubakar in the early 90s, was one of those presidential aspirants on the platform of the SDP. So if today he's going to the SDP, they do have some political history together. So it's not necessarily alien to see him join the SDP. I'm not assuming that that's where he's heading, but if that coalition leads them to the SDP, there's some political history there. Wouldn't you agree?
I will agree. But the current president was elected a senator on the platform of SDP in 1993, right? And by the return to the Fourth Republic, we realized that you know, a substantial chunk of the SDP moved PDP way, right? He was a regional party man. He went the regional party way, the AD, built on what? Ideology, not on just passion for power. Ideology. That was what AD represented, a regional party. Then the AC, then the ACN, then the merger that brought in the APC, and he's president today. So you can trace the political journey. If you have to plot it on a chart, you will not cross, you know, a below zero line. So you will not come into the negative. It will be aligned along the same direction.
That's just one
progressives. Man. No, I'm saying the successful one. Yes, he's not just one man. He is the only successful one among these people. You said some people were around the 1990s, right? They have always tried, but they have never won. This current one has always tried. Only when he always wins, and he does not repeat, he moves forward. And his political journey shows that he's a progressive, forward-looking.
Yeah, okay. You make a point about his consistency in his political belief and ideology and the track record. Yeah. But right now, he's mixing with people who are flipping and flopping and switching their allegiances, the things they said about him just a little over a year ago before the campaigns. Now they're joining the bandwagon. How can you normalize that and say that that is political maturity?
Yeah, because I mean, it's even more appreciated, is to be more appreciated from the angle you're coming from. Because the burden of leadership, you know, shows that you're not going to lead only those who believe in you, right? Your goal is to win over those who didn't believe in you before now, and by that alone, by that position alone, we can score him, you know, positives. You know, if people who doubted him yesterday are now beating their chest for him today, then it means he's doing something right. So that explains.
Or, according to some, he is finding a way to use a carrot and stick approach. Join me and guarantee your political survival and safety, or face the wrath of the administration through prosecution or other forms of intimidation. That is the prevailing commentary right now about why these governors...
So between 2023, when he took over, May 29, and today, which party, which governor has been prosecuted or persecuted?
Are there former governors who have been facing corruption charges?
Across parties. Yes.
How many of them are on the APC platform?
My former governor, Governor Aide, was very... I mean, I don't think anyone has been, you know, dragged along this line in the public by the agency as much as my former governor Aide.
And as far as
he's in APC.
And as far as public opinion is concerned, he got a slap on the wrist. He's defied EFCC arrest. He's defied even bringing himself forth until months down the line when most people believe a compromise has been reached. Plus, he has been one of those opponents of the Tinubu aspiration in 2023. So maybe that explains a lot.
No, you see, I do not like to defend hearsays, right? Because the energy, the time wasted on that, you know, takes something from you that I don't want to lose. So I concentrate on positives, facts, right, that can be proven. I mean, I'm not one to say people should not say what they want to say, but I'm one to pick what to believe in, what to act with, and what to react to.
So is it not a fact that Governor Ufai Okowa, former governor of Delta State, is under EFCC prosecution right now?
You mean the former vice presidential candidate?
The former running mate.
Of the...
Yeah, the running mate, yeah. The one who just decamped 24 hours ago.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And now it's safe to assume that he's going to get some cover.
That's a former governor of Delta State under PDP.
Exactly.
Prior to that, I made mention of former governor of Kogi State under APC. I'm trying to understand it here.
Yeah, the connection is still there. This is someone who is searching.
Has Okowa been picked up? Has he been detained by the EFCC?
I mean, he has been invited multiple times.
Has he been detained by the EFCC? Has he been picked up?
But he's under investigation.
Okay, I'm telling you that a former governor from my party, from my former governor, I'm from Kogi State, my former governor was detained in the EFCC. It took the court to, set the bail condition and have it perfected before his release, right? He is in APC. So on this ground, this angle has no basis. Let's see. If we are really serious about wanting a country that works, and if we are going to have conversation, let's make it a progressive one. Meaning, we are not having it for the sake of it.
So you think these people are not joining APC in search of cover?
What cover? The one Yaya got? Former Governor Yaya, is that the kind of cover you are looking for in APC?
You think Yaya prosecution is the benchmark?
What do you mean prosecution? It's an ongoing process. I just told you. What
are the chances that we will never see Governor Okowa's prosecution go further? We will never see Udom Emmanuel face those alleged fraud charges. What are the chances that this joining the APC is going to wash them of whatever perceived sins the EFCC might think they have committed?
I believe in who I am. I believe in what I am. The one thing I don't do is play God. What's going to happen tomorrow is in the hands of God. But when you put a process right, I believe in process.
But don't you believe in patterns?
No. You see, in patterns, let me finish before I get to that. For processes, when you believe in a process, you are guaranteed of an outcome, all things being equal, if you follow the process right. But in terms of pattern, you have coincidence. Will you call coincidence a pattern? No, it's not.
Talk to me about what's happening in River State. The understanding is there's multiple governors, especially those in the south, for instance, and probably one in the southeast also, that are rumored to be on their way to the APC ahead of 2027. We understand that there was a reported meeting between the suspended governor of River State and the president in London during his stopover before his return this week to Nigeria. And we also understand that there's a possibility that we could see another defection of Governor Sim Fubara from the PDP to join the APC. Nigerians are putting two and two together, that this is not necessarily happening by chance. This is an orchestration of the Tinubu administration to force the hands of these governors who have some influence on the state of affairs in their states to guarantee a victory for the president in 2027. Surely you can't believe that this is far-fetched.
Let's look at this issue, logically. And you remember at some point it was very popular in the media that suspended Governor Sim Fubara was on his way to APC and was blocked by the former governor of Rivers State. It was in the media. You guys carried it.
I'm not sure there was anything like that.
No, yeah, it was. I mean, while the issue started at the very beginning, that he wanted to join APC, but the former governor of Rivers State didn't let it happen. Forget what is happening in Rivers State. Let's look at the position of state governors as we speak. You cannot really be taller than someone and expect to be shorter than that person at the same time. The policy of Mr. President, the reform policies of Mr. President have brought about serious backlash because of the impact on the ordinary citizen. That is to be expected, right? And you have raised this thing to the roofs. I mean, the media, right, to raise the hunger, raised everything else, as if, it was El Dorado before his coming. However,
are you saying the media is lying about the situation on the ground?
I think the media can do better in terms of reporting the process that is ongoing.
In such a way that it favors you or gives you
in such a way that
favorable outlook?
In such a way that favors fact, data, prosperity, and progress, or collective progress. So
when we hit an all-time high on the inflation figures as reported by the Bureau of Statistics, is that the media exaggerating it?
No.
So what has the media done?
But when for the first time in our national life, we have consistently for like 4 quarters back to back, surplus trade balance.
What does that mean? What does that mean to the average Nigerian?
Exactly.
I mean, we're still buying food commodities at exorbitant prices. We still pay significant amounts for transportation every day. School fees are up, house rents are up. What does all these data about trade surplus, mean to the average Nigerian?
To the average Nigerian, it simply means that we are finally building an economy where our best will build us a sustainable system that can not only take care of us today, but will take care of those that are going to come after us. That's sustainable development. If you look at the United Nations Development Goals, it's about sustainability, inclusive development, sustainability, having the best of today without risking the possibility of tomorrow, of the future generation having the best of their lives. And the only way to do that is not by burning the little we have on luxury or things that only make sense to a few, while the fortune or the hope of the collective is forever bleak. No, we are currently at a point where the indices, I'll go back to it again because we went to school for a reason, right? If we are going to say, oh, we should not have kids out of school, can we let those who have gone through school apply the knowledge they gathered? And can we, make decisions based on such knowledge and not sentiments like those who did not go to school? If we do that, then we'll realize that for the last 10 years of this party, this APC party, the last 10 years, there's been honesty, there's been sincerity. You know, we couldn't have gotten it right the way we wanted, but we have done way better than the best of the other parties when they were in charge. And we are turning things around, and we are at the point where we are getting...
The other party hasn't been in charge for at least 10 years.
No, they were in charge for 16 years.
Where were they haven't been in charge.
Where were you? For 16 years, they were in charge. You want to compare the last 10 years to the previous 16 years?
Are you trying to compare the economic outlook 10 years ago with what's happening now? Do you know what the exchange rate was 10 years ago?
That's what we do.
It was less than 200 naira.
That's what we do. That's what we do. You compare
but you're making it look like we jumped from fine pan to fire, and you're making it look like it was a good thing.
No, we haven't.
Things are bad now, worse than what they were 10 years ago.
No, we haven't jumped from fry pan to fire. Now we actually have a pot on the fire. We are now...
I'm saying things are worse now for Nigerians.
Things are not worse for Nigerians.
Really?
Yes.
Inflation at over 24% is not worse.
Now,
the IMF just 24 hours ago downgraded Nigeria's economic growth by over a half percentage.
Downgraded?
Yeah.
How did they downgrade?
Yeah, the projection was over 3%. Now the recent ranking shows that the recent reporting shows that our growth rate is not going to go in the direction that was earlier projected.
I don't understand how. I mean, is it a report that the last quarter dropped?
Not
growth
quarter.
In the last quarter
they
dropped,
always have an annual report on expected economic growth.
This projection you're saying, is it year on year or quarter on quarter? Which is it?
This year, every year they have a growth projection. They say, okay, if this year, Dr. Aliyu, you're going to make 300,000, they go back and assess it and say, okay, you're actually not going to make 300,000, you're going to make 200,000. So they've downgraded your estimated earnings.
No.
And that's basically what the IMF has done.
No. I haven't seen
to what exactly?
I haven't seen the report, but let me.
But do you think I'm lying?
No, I'm not saying you're lying, but I just wanted you to put what you're saying in context. For projection or for report, right? Projection or reports are a function of time, both. So I would like you to tell me, within what time, starting what time to what time was projected to be at what, and what you now refer to as downgrade, what time is still covered in their projection? I mean, I haven't seen the report. I want you to clear me on that, since you have the information.
Okay, so you want me to let me give you just a little breakdown of it. Beyond just the economic growth projections for 2025, the IMF has projected that Nigeria's fiscal deficit will worsen, with the government expected to spend 4.5% more than it earns in both 2025 and 2026. And of course, this also marks a deeper shortfall compared to 2024, when Nigeria's general government overall balance stood at minus 3.4% of the GDP, according to the IMF data. And the deficit is projected to rise by minus 4.5% of the GDP in the following 2 years, so 2025 and 2026. And of course, it goes on and on to talk about projected growth. Inflation rate is expected to average 26.5% for the rest of this year, and so on and so forth. There's nothing in the data, domestic or international, that suggests that we're in the good times, as you're saying.
I'm not focusing on those ones now. I'm focusing on the one you said. I want you to read out the projection, the downgrade in the projection. I need you to read out specific. I'm very particular about that.
Okay, there's quite a lot here to get through in terms of the report.
You must have picked it out.
Yeah, obviously. I'm going to get to that part of the report. I think there's a variety of issues here. It says, in a worst case scenario, the IMF warned that global debt could surge by 117%. I'm going to skim through it and get you the particular part that talks about Nigeria's economic growth forecast. But let me just quickly get your reaction to this one before I get to the data. I'm trying to open this particular figure here. Okay, let me see. Okay, here it goes. In the latest April 2025 World Economic Outlook report published on its website on Tuesday, the IMF says Nigeria's real GDP is now projected to grow by 3.0% in 2025, down by an earlier forecast of 3.2% and below the 3.4% growth rate estimated for 2024. So year on year, the projections are looking bleaker and bleaker.
So what are the reasons given? Is this a global effect? Because from the start of that report, it made reference to the global economy.
Doctor, it's like the more facts I give you, the more questions you have instead of answers or response.
Yes, I mean, when questions...
But this is the fact, so respond to the fact. That's my question.
Budget deficit is normal anywhere in the world. It's very normal, right? So
is bad governance also normal? Because that's what the people are saying. This is as a result of bad governance.
Do you want to talk what you think people are saying, or you want to talk about what you want me to answer? Which one is it?
I'm reflecting the thoughts of the people to you so that you can respond.
The people I know don't talk that way. I don't know about the people you know. People I know are progressive, are patriotic, are knowledgeable, and are honest with themselves and honest with the truth, and understand that nothing good comes easy. In Namali, Yusera, after hardship comes ease. The Quran says that. It's in the Bible. So it is not today. If you want anything good, you're going to toil for it. But if you toil for it, if you put knowledge and put diligence...
So there's a guarantee that after this suffering from... When is it going to come? When is that Uhuru going to happen?
I'm looking at...
because the data is showing that even next year we're still going to be in the woods.
I'm looking at how the economy has moved in the last 10 years under the APC, right? And I'm looking at the promises APC made that I read even before the 2015 election that I was sold on, you know. And I'm looking at what has happened, and I'm considering all the other global challenges, all the other unforeseen circumstances. I'm looking at how hard we've pulled through, and I'm looking at where we are today. And I'm saying that we have gone past the harder times. You know, we don't have to go this long.
The data shows, Doctor, that this is the hardest time. There's in Nigeria's history, there's no record of any other time where, socioeconomically speaking, the records show that there's anything harder than what we're going through right now.
That's not true. Let me tell you when economy is...
When?
Economy is bad when all you do is consume what isn't produced within
No, I'm saying let's go facts for facts.
Hold on. I'm giving you
on record.
I'm giving you facts.
Was there any other time that inflation was this high?
I'm giving you fact for facts. Right? If you go back to go to American economy or any economy in the world right now, I don't think anybody is dealing with inflation that is better than, that is not the worst, that is not the highest at any point in their time. These are global issues. Do you know the Americans complain about how much they buy, foodstuffs now?
You're comparing apples and oranges.
Hold on, my brother. See, you need to understand that we are not isolated from the world. Irrespective of what we are dealing with in our local settlement, whatever happens in the world will still affect us. So what we didn't have for years is the shocks to bear those impacts. Okay. But right now, what we are building is an economy that has enough, shocks, that is resilient enough to withstand such shocks in such a way that the impact on the ordinary citizen is not felt that much. But at this point, before you start partitioning your houses into rooms, into kitchen, into that, you need to build a stable foundation. And while doing this, you're going to dig out earth. Okay. And a lot of people are not going to see the work you are doing while they are building the foundation. But you see, when the foundation is solid and the compartment, the roof start coming up, people will go back to appreciate what has been done. Like I am telling you that people who sees where the president is going are jumping ship.
There are some who have a concern that Nigeria is on the verge of becoming a one-party state, and that may not be good news for our democracy. What are your thoughts about that?
Even the military could not make it so. I don't know when you started following Nigeria politics. I started following it long enough. Right? I mean, I remember when We have a military head of state that all of the parties, I think it was 4 out of 5 parties, and the 5th one eventually joined, who does the cap fit, and it was a military man in power who was trying to transition the country to democracy. They had set up political parties, and 4 of those political parties had endorsed him.
So you think that concern is unfounded?
It's baseless. It's baseless. You see, we have never had a president that is as knowledgeable in politics, in economics, in boardroom negotiations, and on the street like the current president. And that is why he's playing at a level that is way above the rest of them.
Seems like he's playing just pure Nigerian politics 101. But
then that means the rest of them are playing politics that are beneath Nigerian politics. That means the rest of them are playing politics that are not up to Nigerian standard. That's what it means.
People like Dele Momodu say that the Delta State governor, as well as the structure of the PDP that recently decamped to the APC, are joining not because they believe in the APC or the progressive movement, but because they're trying to find immunity from whatever it is that they are afraid of. That this is not out of love for the president's reform agenda or the renewed hope agenda. It's all a fear factor that is working on their psyche ahead of 2027, so they don't lose their own position. This is more about survival than it is about an alignment with APC. What do you think about that thought?
About what?
The thought that they're not joining because they believe in
Who's
APC.
thought?
Dele Momodu.
That's his.
I'm asking what your reaction is to that.
You want me to argue Dele's?
Not argue. I'm saying that.
You want me to have a say on.
Do you think he has a point?
I don't think so, but that's his opinion. I mean, if you start Dele Momodu and stand the governor of Delta State, and they both give you their reasons, whose will you take? The man who defected or the man who...
Do you think that these...
He's not sure exactly where he stands.
Do you think these defections signpost a deeper issue within our political system, one that shows a lack of integrity in terms of political ideology, if people are willing to jump ship willy-nilly because that's where the power is?
I am telling you that I have seen worse scenarios, right? I mean, you remember our second general election in this Fourth Republic in 2003. You remember what happened in the Southwest? Sheer abuse of power by the president at the center then and the party at the center then. Sheer abuse of power. That was worrisome. But one person resisted it. That one person is the president today.
All right. Interesting.
And from that angle, it won't be too hard for you to understand why the other people who are attracted to him and his success story are attracted. They don't have to feel threatened. Anybody who likes good things and sees a consistently good thing, you should be happy for it or be a part of it. That's what's happening.
Okay. As always, an interesting conversation. Thank you so much for joining us on the program tonight, Dr. Aliyu Audu. I appreciate you for taking the time. Thank you so much for the analysis.
Thank you.
All right. And that is our package for you tonight. Thank you most kindly for joining us on Daily Politics. We'll be back tomorrow for yet another edition of the program, live and exclusive on Trust TV at 8 p.m. Until next time, I'm Abdullahi Ahmed. Thank you for your time and good evening.